Welcome to TJbletop. I am your humble bard, TJ, here to tell you another tale from the dice table. This one is something of a story for not only players to learn something from, but for DMs to learn a little bit too. And it's another case of my DM just being extremely cool with just how things turned out. This is going to be a bizarre one, and it does require a little bit of an explanation, but for now I will say, as just general advice to D&D players, be a good Samaritan. You're generally playing a hero in a fantasy world. If you have a chance to be a hero that doesn't drag everyone away from the main plot too far, or if you just run into something where you can kind of get away with doing a little bit of heroics and like get a cat out of a tree type, save the days, then go ahead and do it. You'd be surprised. A lot of DMs will reward you in little boons or experience points even, if you do something just really cool that is in character and actually kind of makes sense. So, as an example, the last time I talked about a raid on an enemy camp that me and my party were assigned to do. The part I left out was that along the way, we stop at an allied camp, soldiers fighting the war, and as part of this, we were staying there for the night, but as part of it, we are, the DM describes as we walk through what is essentially the medical area where a lot of wounded soldiers are laid up and just, trying to patch everybody up, get bleeding to stop, etc., etc. So we just kind of walk by there. It's flavor text that the DM has added just so we kind of get the severity of where our side of the war stands. So we get to where we have to do our business and we get our option to stay the night. But before I actually take the option, I ask the DM, can I go back to the medical area? And okay, so I walk back there and I say, okay, I count up my spell slots and I go, I've got about 8 cure wounds I can do. So I want to find the 8 soldiers who are the worst and I want to cast a healing spell on all of them. And DM's kind of taken aback. This is a good idea. It's a good way of using the flavor text that he just gave out. So that's exactly what I do. I go around, I find who's hurt the worst, and I use my highest spell slot to heal them, because we're about to sleep for the night, so I don't need the spell slots for anything for the rest of the day. So heal, and it does rally the troops. It makes me a few allies in the camp, and because I did something, just a little something like that makes sense for my character and makes sense in the environment. The DM did give me a boost in XP that actually got me to my next level. So if you have the chance, you're playing a good guy. If you have the chance, be a good guy. That seems like basic ideas. That's like a very basic bit of advice, but you'd be surprised how often that you can become so focused on getting the main campaign done, or getting to the next major plot point, or getting through your own personal story, that you kind of forget that there's little points here and there where you can actually do some good just with what's going on around you. And sometimes that pays off really well. I'm going to tell you another story about how you can play, how playing to your environment will get you some good stuff if you are not only playing your character right, but also if the dice happen to roll your way. Because sometimes the dice roll so high the DM just has to do something. And this is another thing for DMs. If your players get some ridiculously high roll, give them something for it. No one ever wants to hear, I got a 24, and just go, yeah, the thing you expected to happen happens, and that's about it. That's such a buzzkill. That's such a high roll though. Yeah, but that's all you get. You want to get something good when you get something that high. So, of course, be willing to work with that. Be willing to come up with something. This is something my DM came up with. And this was, to set the stage a little bit, after we may or may not have set off a cataclysmic tempest that threatened to wipe out all life on the planet, Um, Still working on that. We don't know if we actually did it. I'll let you know. But the point here is, but I just need to set that up so you know a little bit of what's about to happen. We're going through this tiny little town on the way to our next big adventure, and just because I'm curious what's in the town, because little out of the way towns can often have like really weird magical enchanters or potion sellers that have like really weird stuff that the DMs cooked up for homebrew. It's good to just kind of roll a perception just for the sake of looking around and seeing what stands out, what looks odd and different that I wouldn't normally expect to see in a little town like this. So, he asked for a perception check. I should tell you now, whenever I play a D&D character, I always make sure I have at least a little bit of priority in perception, because it's one of your most common checks, and it's one of the ones that will keep you out of trouble the most, especially your passive perception. That prevents you from ambushes and traps and all kinds of things that could just really mess you up. So, I roll my perception check. That's a natural 20. And my perception is a plus 10. 30 on perception. I can hear the glasses clinking in the local saloon. I can hear the shop that we just left. I can hear the shopkeeper counting up stacks of coins. Like, I've suddenly got like the radar vision in the Batman Arkham games, where I know everything. And one of the things that I notice above all else, it's not a weird shop, it's not a weird enchanter, it's a squid. Okay, so, can you run that by me again? Yeah, you see a squid. It's crawling, it's hanging on the edge of the town's well. Why is there a squid on the How close are we to a river or an ocean? Oh, you're miles away. How did a squid... Okay. And the debate is like, are you actually going to take the squid? And I just think to myself, it's like... God, I don't have speak with animals prepared today. You know what? Yes, I'm going to take the squid. I am going to take this squid. So, everyone's loving this. Now I'm the squid guy. Now I've just got the squid in my hand. So I take it back to the cart that we are traveling in. I take a basin that I have created with stone shape. I use create water to fill the basin, and I let the squid hang out in there for the night. So, okay, I don't know what you eat, because apparently I'm a druid who's never been to the ocean. So, I'm just gonna let you chill out there, and hopefully you don't starve before next morning. I run to bed. Like, the first thing in the morning, I was like, okay, wake up, pray, 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 pray. Okay, now I can speak to animals. Let's go down. This is like the most excited my party has been. It's like, 'cause now everyone wants to know, what is up with this squid? Why is there a squid in the middle of the town? I cast Speak with Animals, and I say hello to the squid. And I can't remember the exact dialogue, but I'll give you the gist of it just so you get the same kind of like, what? That we got. So, I asked the squid, what are you doing in the middle of town? It's like, I seek a chosen one. I seek one who is worthy. What? Where are you from? I am from the Allwater. What is the Allwater? I'm talking to a squid and I'm getting more confused, which in hindsight, yeah, I should be. I should be more confused. I'm talking to a squid. So I'm asking this little blooper dude. Okay, I don't know. We can try, I can keep you in the basin until we get to the ocean, or until you find like a worthy one. It's like, this mortal form won't last long enough. Do you seek to stop the cataclysm? Yeah, we're working on that. Me and my buds, we're trying. Like, then you are the one I seek, And he reaches out his little tentacle, and in like the God creates man painting, and I put my finger to the tentacle, and I'm described as this wave kind of washes over my mind. And as I come to, Squid's gone, water's gone, and I just feel really, really weird. And what I find is that I am blessed by a god named Kanaloa, who was like an actual squid god in like Hawaiian mythology, I think it is. Like, he pulled the name from some weird thing that he Googled. But it was a blessing that gave my character the ability to breathe underwater without casting a spell. It let me swim in water without reducing my movement. And, interestingly enough, it made all beverage purified. It purified all beverages that I drank. And I didn't know this until the next morning where I go back inside and I sit down to breakfast and I go, I've just been blessed by a squid. And everyone just kind of looks at me. I say a lot of weird things because this is a very bizarre character who's prone to saying weird things just to keep up the facade of being a really weird bard. This is by far the weirdest thing I've ever said to any of them. This caught attention. So, yes, I was blessed by a squid. Did you start drinking before we got up? No, this is my first ale of the day, and I down it. And it tastes like the best water I've ever had in my life. Yeah. Okay, the ale here is like really tasty, but I'm getting nothing off of it. And my buddy, our wizard, kind of takes a drink. It's like, seems like ale. I put this to the test. We got to another town where I was like, okay, I really need to put this to the test. So if I do something crazy, if I get just like completely blind drunk, you stop me from doing anything weird, okay? I have a designated driver in D&D now. And I tell the bartender, okay, just take a glass and just fill it with mix up the worst rock guts you have and just give me the weirdest thing give me the weirdest little mix you can, like a soda suicide, just with like you do at a restaurant or like at a fast food where you just go down the line with a fountain drink. A little bit of everything. There's chunks. There's things floating in this. This is not a pleasant mixture. And I go, all right, down it. Completely purified. It's nothing but water. On the downside, my character can never get drunk again. Not that my character was prone to getting drunk, but it is no longer an option in any way. So he cannot enjoy a little bit of alcohol anymore. On the upside, we haven't lost a drinking contest yet. I'm kind of waiting for the one where it's just like I'm putting him under the table bit by bit, and I'm putting all of his deception into faking drunk so it doesn't look like I've rigged this. I'm waiting for that moment. Maybe I get that moment, but that's being blessed by a squid. Just because I rolled ridiculously high on a perception check, the DM just kind of made up something really cool for me to find and got a really cool boon out of it that made sense in the current place in the story. So it's again kind of like an advisory tale. DMs, have cool stuff ready, or be willing to just give your players cool stuff because they managed to do something ridiculously good. On a 30 perception, I should be able to see the people playing at the table in character. That's how good that should be. So, very grateful to my DM for coming up with something. And again, for players, take advantage of what you have. Check the surroundings. If you've got a high stat, make use of it, because if it goes really high, something unexpectedly cool might happen. So that is how you get blessed by a squid in Dungeons & Dragons, and thank you for joining me for that story. Tune in again. I will tell you another story of Mirari's adventures next time. Until then.